Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a new match preview on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. And if you're in and around the Midlands safe with the weather that I can see outside, I know last night here in Wolverhampton we had a huge amount of snow. A lot of people, including myself, unfortunately, I suppose, couldn't make it into work today, but I did have a short walk out for a nice coffee with my girlfriend earlier on today. So yeah, it's all right, and I'm hoping that, of course, it will be okay ahead of tomorrow as the FA Cup third round reaches us here. The Premier League teams enter the competition, and Wolves will welcome Shrewsbury Town, League Two Shrewsbury, having the short trip to Wolverhampton tomorrow, lunchtime kickoff. And of course, it will be available on Discovery Plus, I believe, for those guys that can't make it to the game tomorrow. But I'm sure with the ticket prices, there should be an okay amount of people there. And fingers crossed, Wolves can put on a show for us. And fingers crossed, we will see ourselves in the FA Cup fourth round draw. Of course, I'll give my thoughts, the latest from Rob Edwards' pre-match press conference. And we will have the Shrewsbury perspective in a short while as well. But probably the big news from Rob Edwards' press conference is that he has confirmed Rodrigo Gomez will be a part of the matchday squad to face Shrewsbury Town tomorrow. He did sort of allude to it in his pre-Everton press conference. He said that, he was very close. There's a chance that he's going to be involved over the weekend, but he has given full confirmation for that tomorrow. So really excited to see Rodrigo back. I know our form has picked up a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but I think, either in the forward positions or in those right wing back positions, I think he will be a welcome addition back into the first team squad, definitely. And then in regards to the rest of the team, really, he said there's no other further issues in regards to availability. So he's pretty much got the squad that was available at Everton available this weekend as well. And he has also said it's important to keep momentum in regards to the squad and team lineup. Now, Rob could really surprise us and go completely unchanged from Wednesday. I don't think that will be the case. I think there will be somewhat of rotation, but I think even if you look at some of the players, and I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous for me to say this considering we're sat at the foot of the Premier League table, but you look at some of the options off the bench, and even if we do some rotation, it's still a very decent squad and a very strong lineup that Wolves should be able to put out tomorrow. I will eventually bring back my flashy lineup graphic. I know a couple of people over the last couple of weeks have asked about that, but that's on my computer, and unfortunately I haven't got use of that right now. I'm using my laptop, but that will be back. But for this game, I would assume you will see Sam Johnston reintroduced. You could see Dan Bentley, but I think it will be Sam Johnston introduced. The back line could be anybody, really. I think Pedro Lima more than likely is going to start at right wing back. We've seen that Rob Edwards has been quite complimentary of him over the last couple of days since his return from Porto. Chance for me that he starts at right wing back. Probably see David Muller-Wolfer at left wing back. Centre halves possibly up for discussion. I think Santiago Bueno could be in there. Matt Doherty possibly come back in and play at right centre back. Although we could see a completely different formation. We could see a back four, which may be the more likely thing. But if we just stick with a back five, I think you got Doc, Bueno, Krejci might stay in there as well. Midfield lineup, I think, again, probably see Andre coming from the start. You could argue, could we see Tawanda Chirewa coming in some capacity as well? And then the front line, I think Jorgen Strand Larsen will start the game. And then you look at other options. Maybe could you keep Matheus Mane in there? Just keep his momentum. Of course, you want to try and keep him fresh, but we've got a week until our next Premier League fixture, so there's enough recovery time there. So I will be interested to see how he starts. There is rotation there. I think you can still introduce 3 or 4 different players that maybe aren't getting the minutes. A couple of players that probably aren't quite ready. Martial Minetti and Jean-Luc Bellegarde, I believe they are back in light training now, but there was no mention of those two, so I assume again those two aren't ready for this game as well this weekend. But yeah, hopeful, interested to see who he brings in and who he plays. And again, it's against a Shrewsbury team that, although we're struggling, we know there's the magic of the FA Cup. They could easily turn up and, Wolves although we've been great recently, I say great, good recently, 95% of the season we've been awful. So, there's every chance that mentality wise, a lot of those players might go into tomorrow's game thinking it's already won, and Shrewsbury come and spring a surprise on us and beat us. We've been in that position where we're a lower league team. We cause problems. Liverpool at Anfield at the time, Stoke were in the Premier League and we were in the Championship, not having particularly great seasons. There is a chance that we can, these lower league teams can spring a surprise and still beat us. So it's up to Rob Edwards just to make sure these players have their feet firmly on the ground, focus on the task. And again, I know I mentioned it for Premier League games, it might be a bit boring, but you get an early goal tomorrow. Shrewsbury, I mentioned it on the opposition chat in a second. Shrewsbury more than likely are going to be sort of very defensive, 10 or 11 men behind the ball. You get an early goal, they've got to open up, they've got to come and attack, and that's when you can put these sort of teams to the sword. So we'll wait and see. I'm interested to see the lineup from Rob. By the sounds of it, he wants to go quite strong, which will be nice to see. And of course, fingers crossed we can get the win. But it's great to chat to Dan from Salopcast to get his thoughts and his feelings ahead of this game. And we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on with Shrewsbury Town so far this season. So then, guys, it's great to welcome Dan from Salopcast to give his thoughts on Shrewsbury Town so far this season ahead of the FA Cup third round clash. Dan, thanks for jumping on. How you been keeping?
I'm all right, yeah. Well, except for Shrewsbury Town and football, I'm perfectly fine, yeah.
No, yeah, I'm looking at the league table at the moment. It hasn't looked like it's been a great campaign for you guys so far. What do you make of it, and what's gone wrong, do you think, for Town?
Well, pretty much everything has gone wrong, to be honest, Dave. It's one of those ones where there's been a series of mistakes, unfortunate events, cock-ups that have led to us being, currently 90th in the Football League. And most Town fans would tell you we're doing quite well to be 90th, actually. Yeah. It could have been even worse than it already is. So a whole range of things that most football fans will recognise. Poor recruitment, poor form, bit of bad luck along the way. All these things have come together to make the season so far a bit of a tough watch. The FA Cup's actually been the pretty much the only positive story, because we've had 2 away games, tricky away games, won them both, and now we've got another tricky away game to look forward to. So it's a nice distraction.
It sounds very similar to what's going on at Wolves at the moment as well. I mean, literally all the things that you mentioned there, poor recruitment, a little bit of bad luck. It sounds very similar to us. And you may have seen that, we had a lot of issues and trouble, I suppose, with our chairman. And I think, is there a similar sort of situation scenario with you guys as well? Or?
Yeah, our chairman's mad.
Yeah.
And seriously, he's getting worse. He gave an interview to the Daily Mail just before Christmas solely because the interviewer was the same star sign as him. This is the type of character we're dealing with. And to be fair, he's been chairman for 30 years.
It's the same guy, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he's sort of one of an old school. He's made his money locally. He's been a Shrewsbury Town fan forever, and he did a fantastic job in saving us. Much as you guys back in the late 80s had your problems as well. Yeah. And I remember going to Molineux when the two sides were there and all the rest of it. We had a similar thing in the 1990s, early 2000s, and he did a brilliant job then, but he sort of overstayed it. And he's mid-80s now. Apparently there's a takeover going on, apparently, but no one knows anything about it. And I refuse to believe anything's happening until it actually does. Yeah. So the chairman, unfortunately, is part of the problem. And we haven't, at the moment, got a way out of that.
Yeah, I mean, you would have seen it as well a few weeks ago, him sort of kicking up a little bit of a fuss in regards to the ticket prices and things like that. What was your take on that? Because I could sort of see both sides to it, but I think at the time of the situation that Wolves are in, if you start pricing those tickets too expensive, the ground's going to be half empty anyway.
Well, I was going to say, I suppose I get it, but there's surely ways and means. I don't know if going on record and slating a Premier League club is probably the best strategic move going. But we had this with Liverpool in 20 or whenever it was, 5-6 years ago now. And, he didn't cover himself in glory there. And I think this is a pattern with him. I wasn't surprised. I didn't know it was going to be that issue, but there often is an issue. There's been a bit of a behind-the-scenes argument, I think, about the number of tickets we've been allocated. And I think part of that's down to us not asking for the right amount when we were originally spoken to. So I'm not at all surprised that we're messing things up at our end and that our chairman is not dealing with it very well, because unfortunately that's been a bit of a pattern.
What do you think, or what's the sort of mood amongst Shrewsbury Town fans in regards to the FA Cup? Obviously, every club loves a little bit of a cup run, but do you think the priority for you guys is to make sure that Shrewsbury Town are a team in the Football League going on next season?
Well, it absolutely has to be. I remember us going down 24 years ago, and I try and explain this to people. It's going down. as you may well experience. Going down happens, right?
Yeah, of
But
course.
going down and not having your scores going through on the Villy printer is a different type of going down. So going out of the league is a bigger deal than
Yeah.
anything else in my mind. So we came back in 2003 and we came back at the first time of asking, but the National League is a totally different beast now. South Shields, who we played in the first round, they're 2 divisions below us. They're a better team than us.
Yeah.
Sutton United, it was on the TV. If you were really sad, Dave, you might even have seen it. But they're a better team than us. And they're both, Sutton are struggling in the National League. There's no guarantee whatsoever that we'll come straight back. So that has to be the focus. But I'm a firm believer that you can focus on 2 things at once, particularly if it might help you, 1, earn a bit of money along the way, and 2, just change the vibe around the place. Now, if we pull off the shock of all shocks and manage to get a result tomorrow at Molineux, then it can only be a good thing, right? Because it'll suddenly feel like there's a bit of positivity about the place. Although there is a bit of a warning sign here. You may remember we beat Everton in the FA Cup in 2003. Went out of the league that year.
Yeah.
So you can see where I might be going with this one. If we win tomorrow, I mean, if is doing a lot of work in that sentence, but yeah, we don't see no reason why we can't concentrate on both, because they're different things and they can feed positively off each other.
Yeah, we've seen it before in lower league teams or teams that are struggling down towards the bottom end of the table. It almost gives you, like you said there, momentum, confidence. To pick results up in the league as well. And of course, for a team in the situation that Shrewsbury are in, the money can't be a bad thing either, really. And looking at your sort of playing squad, there's 1 or 2 players that are recognised there. From Taylor Perry, obviously a former Wolves player. He played some first team games predominantly under Nuno. How's he been getting on? And is there any other first teamers that maybe we should be keeping our eye on tomorrow?
Well, Perry's an interesting one. He's clearly got something as a footballer, but I don't know what type of footballer he is.
Yeah.
Now, Michael Apton likes him. He's been playing him quite a lot, certainly more so than the previous regimes have been playing. But is he a box-to-box midfielder? I'm not really sure. Does he hold in front of the back 4? I don't really think so. So I'm not sure what role he should be playing. But he will play tomorrow, and he does have a goal in him as well. So, that adds something. I guess the star man for us is probably Ismail Kabia, who's a bit of a Bukayo Saka clone. And he is on loan from Arsenal, so that really does fit. He's got a bit of pace about him. I mean, he's in no way the finished article, but if we're going to have something going forward, it will generally go through Kabia. So he's one to keep an eye out for. And we've got 2 centre halves who are statuesque in terms of their movement and pace. So keep an eye on them, because if you get behind them, then we will have trouble, because they won't be able to keep with whoever you play up front. They can kick it and they can head it, as League Two centre halves do. But in terms of pace, we haven't got any at the back, so that might be worth bearing in mind as well.
Are you assuming that it's going to be sort of a 10 or 11 men behind the ball job for Shrewsbury tomorrow? Maybe launch a couple of counter attacks and try off the set pieces to maybe get something at Molineux, do you reckon?
I would be absolutely amazed if it's not.
Yeah,
we did that against Sutton. So we should probably do it against Premier League team as well. No, I think it will be massively set up to. We don't mind you having the ball. Sutton had 70% of the ball. We don't mind teams having the ball. But of course, the problem comes. What happens if you score early? Then things have to change. And we haven't really got a plan B. Even in League Two, we haven't really got a plan B that's been effective. So I suspect we'll be pretty defensive minded. I think it'll be a 5-4-1. We have got a guy called Sam Clucas, who you may remember. He's played Premier League football. Yeah. So he's been playing at sort of left wing back. So that's the way we roll. We get a 38-year-old in or whatever he is and ask him to play wing back, even though he's a centre midfielder. But I think he may play in the centre of the park tomorrow. So that gives us a bit more distribution-wise. So he might be another one to keep an eye on. But yeah, it'll be a defensive setup and I hope for the best job, really.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And to finish off, I know it's very, very hard to give a score prediction, but maybe one from your head and one from your heart ahead of tomorrow's game.
Well, it's all. I mean, I'm a nightmare at these things. So it's a free hit in it. But it's definitely one of 2 ways. It'll either be 5-0 Wolves, which of course is where your money would go. Obviously, it's Premier League versus bottom of Division 2 or League 2, or it'll be Wolves getting frustrated. Maybe you guys will get on your team's back. I know things have picked up, but you don't want to be 0-0 after an hour against the side in 90th. There. So in that sort of scenario, football is a funny old game and all that business. But if I had to go for one, it'd be 5-0 Wolves.
Yeah, there you go. Dan, it's been a pleasure having you on Talking Walls, mate. I'll make sure I leave a link to the Salop cast in the description down below. And all the best for the rest of the season, mate. It'd be a shame to see Shrews go out of the Football League. So hopefully you guys...
And you, Dave, I mean, it's a miracle sort of situation, isn't it? But you never know.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. I'll see you soon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
So big thanks to Dan. I'll make sure I leave a link to the Salopcast in the description down below. He helped me out on that on quite short notice, so I do appreciate it as always. And guys, let me know your thoughts and feelings going into this game. Of course, if you're making the trip up to Molineux, please be cautious with the weather. I'm hoping by tomorrow it might calm down a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure the roads will still be a little bit tricky. So look after yourselves. Fingers crossed we are in the hat for the 4th round. And of course, I'll give my thoughts and feelings after the game tomorrow as well. So as always, hit that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you all very, very soon.